I remember the first time I came across this thread, the smiling man. The story was simple, yet terrifying. A man, walking home alone late at night, encounters a stranger. But this is no ordinary stranger. This man has a smile plastered on his face, a smile that doesn't reach his eyes, a smile that screams wrongness. The author described the encounter with a chilling realism that drew me in. He wrote about the feeling of being watched, the hairs on the back of his neck standing on end. And then, he saw him. Standing across the street, bathed in the pale glow of the streetlight, was the smiling man. His smile was too wide, too intense, and his eyes held a look that sent chills down the author's spine. As I read the thread, I could feel the author's fear. It seeped from every word, every sentence, painting a vivid picture of terror in my mind. He described the man's eyes, how they seemed to follow his every move, how they seemed to bore into his soul. The author quickened his pace, his heart pounding in his chest, but the feeling of being watched only intensified. He could feel the man's presence behind him, like a predator stalking its prey. The author finally reached his apartment building, his hands shaking as he fumbled with his keys. He could feel the man's presence just outside, still watching, still smiling that unnerving smile. He rushed inside, slamming the door shut and bolting it behind him. He leaned against the door, his chest heaving, the sound of his own breath deafening in the silence. He never saw the smiling man again. But the memory of that night, the feeling of being watched, the chilling smile, stayed with him forever. And it stayed with me too. The story of the smiling man, the raw terror in the author's words, left an indelible mark on my psyche. It was a chilling reminder that even in the safety of our own homes we are not alone, that there are things out there, lurking in the shadows, things that watch us, things that smile, things that we can never truly escape. The second thread that burrowed its way into my nightmares originated from the depths of history, a chilling whisper from the Cold War era. It was titled The Russian Sleep Experiment, and it promised a tale of scientific curiosity gone horribly wrong. The thread detailed a supposed experiment conducted by Soviet scientists, an experiment that pushed the limits of human endurance and sanity. The goal was simple, yet monstrous: to force prisoners to remain awake for 30 days straight. The scientists used a potent stimulant to keep the subjects awake, monitoring their behavior as the days turned into nights and back again. At first, the prisoners seemed relatively normal, conversing with each other, reading books provided to them. But as the days wore on, their behavior began to deteriorate. The thread described their descent into madness, their conversations turning into paranoid ramblings, their once ordinary actions becoming erratic and unpredictable. The scientists watched in horrified fascination as the prisoners descended into a living hell of their own making. The thread went into graphic detail about the physical and mental toll that sleep deprivation took on the prisoners. Their bodies, starved of rest, began to break down. They became emaciated, their skin pale and drawn. Their minds, pushed beyond their limits, fractured. They hallucinated, seeing things that weren't there, hearing voices whispering their darkest fears. The prisoners became desperate, begging for sleep, pleading for the experiment to end. But the scientists, driven by a morbid curiosity, continued their observations. The details of what happened next were too gruesome for the original poster to fully describe, censored by their own humanity. But the bits and pieces they did share were enough to paint a horrifying picture. The prisoners, driven mad by sleep deprivation, turned on each other, their desperation fueling a descent into unimaginable violence. The experiment, once a scientific endeavor, had transformed into a chamber of horrors. The thread described the aftermath, the blood-soaked walls, the mutilated bodies, the chilling silence that hung heavy in the air. The Russian sleep experiment, whether true or not, has become a chilling reminder of the fragility of the human mind. It's a story that stays with you, a dark stain on the edges of your thoughts. It makes you question the depths of human cruelty, the lengths to which we will go in the name of knowledge, and the monsters that lurk within us all. And as you try to fall asleep tonight, remember the Russian sleep experiment. Remember the prisoners, their minds shattered, their bodies broken. Remember that the need for sleep is primal, and the consequences of denying it can be truly horrifying. The internet, a vast, interconnected world of information and entertainment. But beneath the surface, hidden in the darkest corners of the web, lies a sinister underbelly. A place where the rules of reality are twisted and the lines between truth and horror blur. This is the deep web. And tonight's story, pulled from the depths of a Reddit thread titled The Deep Web Horror Story, plunges us headfirst into its unsettling abyss. The story begins innocently enough with a user claiming to have stumbled upon something they never should have seen. Something that continues to haunt their waking nightmares. Section 2. An accidental witness. Imagine, if you will, the flickering light of a computer screen illuminating a face shrouded in darkness. The click-clack of a keyboard, a frantic search for something different. The user, driven by curiosity and a thirst for the unknown, ventured deeper and deeper into the uncharted territories of the deep web. They navigated through hidden forums and encrypted websites, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. Then, they stumbled upon it. A live stream, tucked away in the deepest recesses of the internet. But this was no ordinary live stream. The grainy footage revealed a scene of unimaginable terror, a kidnapping in progress. The victim's face, contorted in fear, stared directly into the camera as if pleading for help. Section 3. Frozen in fear. The user watched in horror, paralyzed by the sheer terror unfolding before their very eyes. The victim, bound and gagged, struggled against their captors, their muffled screams echoing through the computer speakers. Every click, every pop and hiss from the audio amplified the raw, unfiltered fear emanating from the screen. It was a scene ripped straight out of a nightmare, yet undeniably real. The user described feeling an overwhelming sense of helplessness. They were a digital ghost, a silent observer to a horrific crime, unable to reach out, to intervene, to do anything but watch. The seconds stretched into an eternity, each one etched into the user's memory with terrifying clarity. Section 4. Disconnected. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the live stream cut out. The screen went black, leaving the user in stunned silence. The digital screams, the palpable fear, the chilling reality of what they had witnessed. It all vanished, leaving behind a deafening silence that was somehow more terrifying. Had the captors discovered they had an audience? Had they silenced their victim? Or was it something even more sinister, a glitch in the fabric of the deep web itself? The user was left alone, grappling with the horrifying images seared into their mind, haunted by the knowledge that somewhere, someone had vanished into the digital abyss. Section 5. A haunting reminder. The user never discovered what truly transpired that night, the identity of the victim, the fate they suffered. It all remained shrouded in the anonymity of the deep web. But the experience left an indelible mark, a chilling reminder that some corners of the internet are best left unexplored, places where curiosity can lead to unimaginable horror. The deep web, with its hidden forums and encrypted websites, holds countless secrets, some too terrifying to comprehend, and sometimes the most innocent click can plunge you into a nightmare you can never escape. The next story on our list takes us deep into the labyrinth of Reddit, a place where truth and fiction blur, and shadows whisper secrets. It's a story about a thread titled The Disappearing Man, a chilling tale that unfolds like a digital ghost story. It all started with a series of cryptic messages posted by a user with an unassuming username. These weren't your typical Reddit ramblings. They were filled with strange symbols, coded messages, and a palpable sense of fear. People were quick to dismiss it as an elaborate hoax, a desperate cry for attention. But as the posts became more frequent, more frantic, a sense of dread began to creep in. It was like watching someone unravel in real time, their digital pleas for help echoing through the void of the internet. Little did anyone know, this was just the beginning of a mystery that would leave everyone chilled to the bone. Then, As suddenly as they started, the messages stopped. The user, the one who had poured their heart out in those cryptic posts, vanished. Days turned into weeks, and the silence became deafening. People started digging, trying to piece together the puzzle of the missing user. Theories ran rampant. Some speculated that he had finally cracked under pressure, his online persona consuming his real life. Others whispered about darker forces at play, suggesting that the cryptic messages were a desperate attempt to warn the world about something sinister. But amidst the speculation and fear, one question remained: what really happened to the disappearing man? The internet, once a breeding ground for apathy, was now consumed by the mystery. People scoured through his post history, looking for clues, for any shred of information that could lead to his whereabouts. Some claimed to have deciphered hidden messages in his posts, cryptic warnings about an impending threat. Others pointed to specific symbols and phrases, drawing connections to ancient lore and secret societies. The line between reality and the digital world began to blur, the mystery seeping into the lives of those who dared to delve too deep. The disappearing man, once just a username on a screen, had become a haunting enigma that refused to be ignored. To this day, the disappearance remains unsolved, a chilling reminder of the internet's power to both connect and isolate us. The cryptic messages, once dismissed as a hoax, now stand as a testament to an unknown fate. Did he orchestrate his own disappearance, seeking to escape a reality he could no longer bear? Or was he the victim of something more sinister, his digital cries for help silenced by an unseen force? The truth, like the man himself, remains elusive, lost in the digital abyss. And so, the story of the disappearing man lives on, a chilling reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters lurk not under our beds, but behind our screens. The disappearing man's story serves as a chilling reminder of the internet's double-edged sword. It can connect us, entertain us, and even offer a sense of community. But it can also be a breeding ground for fear, paranoia, and ultimately, silence. As you browse through the endless threads and comments, remember the story of the disappearing man. Remember that behind every username there's a real person with a real life, and sometimes the line between the virtual and the real can become terrifyingly blurred. Who knows what lurks behind the next click, the next post, the next username you encounter? Perhaps it's best not to find out. Our final tale takes us from the digital realm into the heart of our homes, where a simple knock on the door can send shivers down your spine. This is the story of the Black-Eyed Kids, a phenomenon shrouded in mystery and fear. Imagine this: it's late at night, you're home alone, and you hear a knock at the door. You peer through the peephole, and standing there are two children, their faces pale and drawn, their eyes completely black, like pools of endless night. You feel an overwhelming sense of dread wash over you, a primal instinct screaming at you to keep them out. But there's something about their pleading voices, their insistence on being let in, that makes you hesitate. Reports of black-eyed kids have been circulating for years, each encounter more unsettling than the last. Witnesses describe a chilling similarity: the piercing black eyes, the unsettling calmness in their voices, and the overwhelming feeling of dread that accompanies their presence. Some claim these children are nothing more than urban legends, stories concocted to scare and entertain. But for those who claim to have encountered them, the experience is all too real, a haunting memory that lingers long after the encounter. They speak of feeling drained, their energy sapped after even a brief encounter. Some describe a strange pressure to let the children in, a hypnotic pull that's hard to resist. What are these black-eyed kids? Are they lost souls, demonic entities, or something else entirely? Theories abound, each more unsettling than the last. Some believe they are vampires feeding off the life force of unsuspecting victims. Others speculate they are interdimensional beings, accidentally crossing over into our world. But perhaps the most disturbing theory is that they are simply children, corrupted by an unknown force, their innocence twisted into something sinister and malevolent. Whatever their true nature, one thing remains clear: the black-eyed kids are not to be trusted. Those who have encountered the black-eyed kids often speak of a sense of foreboding, a feeling that something terrible will happen if they let the children in. And in some cases, these premonitions have proven tragically accurate. There are whispers of people disappearing without a trace after encountering the black-eyed kids, their homes left empty, their lives seemingly erased. Whether these disappearances are connected to the encounters remains a chilling mystery. But one thing is certain, the black-eyed kids are not to be trifled with. They are a reminder that the world is a strange and often terrifying place, and that sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones that look the most innocent. The Black-Eyed Kids, a story born from the darkest corners of the internet, now bleeds into our reality, a chilling reminder that some things are best left undisturbed. As you turn off your screens and prepare for the night, remember the chilling tales of the Black-Eyed Kids. Remember the fear, the uncertainty, and the overwhelming sense of dread that their presence evokes. And the next time you hear a knock at the door late at night, think twice before you open it. You never know who or what might be waiting on the other side. And there you have it, the 5 most disturbing Reddit threads that I personally found to be the most chilling. From the depths of the deep web to the seemingly innocent knock on your door, these stories remind us that fear can lurk in the most unexpected places. If you enjoyed this journey into the dark side of the internet, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-tingling stories. And remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones we find online. Stay safe out there.